Do we have any presenters here?
Joyce said she wanted me to.
Please come to order. As the policy of the committee, if you would, please put your phones up. Be sure they're turned off. Appreciate that. And we have any teachers here today? Raise your hand if you're a teacher. We're always glad to have our teachers. Any new people, this is your first time being with us, raise your hand. All right? Glad to have y'all with us. We have 4 pieces of legislation today we're going to hear, so we need to be out of this room. We've got to be out of this room in 40 minutes, so we're going to move along quickly. The first bill we're going to hear is House Bill. Hold it. Before we start, would you do me a favor, Scott? Would you, Representative Hilton, would you do the prayer for us? What's your number? 24. Would you please do our prayer for us?
Turn on the microphone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Watch it.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this day that you've given us and the opportunity to come here and do your work. And we just pray that you give us the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding to do your will and to do good things for the people of Georgia here. And we pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. We have Mr. Chairman, if you come on and have a seat at the table, and we're going to take you up first. We're going to sign bills later, and I want to notify the committee that tomorrow at 1 o'clock we'll have our final education meeting, maybe 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, depending on the agenda and what our chairman here puts on the agenda for tomorrow. But we have here today with us Chairman Meadows, who has House Bill 415. This is the first hearing, so we will be hearing this bill, and we'll have some discussion if we need to. So if you would, Chairman, we're glad to have you with us.
My pleasure. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I come to you today with HB 415. You'll see it LC 1439. Let me give you a little background. I serve as the co-chairman of the Georgia High School Athletic Association Oversight Committee. This has been an eye-opener to me, if that's a good word. I went through this about a year and a half ago, and the request was that the Georgia High School Athletic Association get their stuff in order. Plain and simple. No individual request. I've got a 58-member board. I've got a 6-member board of trustees, and I don't think any of them know what their job is. They are a board. They should act like one. I get continual complaints from my schools, from my referees, from my coaches, from my parents. I get more phone calls on this than I do every piece of legislation y'all introduce. And basically, I am sick of it. What I've got here, and this is a work in progress. This bill is not the answer. This bill is the stick. And what I'd like from y'all, again, it gets back to setting up a board that is, fact is, it's a duplication of what they've done in Florida, if you just want to know where it came from. What I'd like to see is for my board of the Georgia High School Athletic Association and my board of trustees to go do their job. I can't have one particular entity that determines how much money you're going to get from video in your games. I cannot have one particular group of individuals that decide how much we're going to charge Georgia Public Broadcasting to air our ball games. Y'all might all look and check to see if there's any money going to Georgia Public and how much it costs them. I can't afford for my children not to be able to go to a dadgum ball game because we've jacked the rates up so much. They did work on that a little bit. I'm going to give them some credit. They have worked on that. But when you have kids that are standing outside of a baseball playoff game because they can't get in, and guess what we all do? We all cover up. We take the fences and put up that wonderful stuff so you can't see in. And then some of my children are missing the opportunity, and I'm done with it. I'm going to look out there as a not-for-profit organization. And what do I have? How many millions of dollars for whatever reason they have them? Is that transparent? Do y'all know where it goes? Have you seen it? How much property do you own? How much do we charge our referees to come down and get trained and then have to get retrained? How much do our referees make per ball game? They do this because they love it. They sure don't do it for the money. And when I've got kids that are having to drive from Effingham County to Fulton County to play a basketball game, there is something bad the matter with the system. And oh yeah, what if they won as they did the other night? They got to go back home, turn around, and come back because the next game is up here in the middle of Atlanta. There's something wrong. You should have the bill. What the bill does, it sets up a board. It's a lot smaller board that is entirely open. It can remain 58. I don't care. But what I do want you to do, it's got a board. It gives you some term limits. Does anybody know what the term limits are for the Georgia State High School Athletic Association? Oh, somebody answered correctly. What are your duties? That's page 3. What is the authority and the duties? What I want, and I promise y'all, I do not want the Georgia House of Representatives and Senate to be in the Georgia High School Athletic Association business. I want them to do their job and leave us alone. The complaint department fills up relatively quickly. And when I say that I'd be open to almost anything here, I got to reading it myself and I looked down to let me find my spot. It's 20-2-622. I don't even like that. That's terrible. But we got to do something. And what I'm asking y'all to do, and who do we put in charge? Who is in charge? Do we answer to the state superintendent? And this one we do. I don't know that he wants this job either. But we're putting superintendents on the board. We're putting coaches on the board. We're putting administrators on, and they've got a time limit. Do their job. Open it up. How about a report once a year of what your finances are? Is there anything? We make every other department do that. I am not asking for much. We'll still have an executive director or a commissioner. And I will tell you before I end with, I just like, if you want to read all that thing, you can. I'm not going to go through it word by word with you. But they are trying at this moment. At this moment. They know they have. When somebody on the board of trustees, I ask them what their job is, and they say, well, I take notes. Well, hello. Give me a break, y'all. I take notes, and I'm on the board of trustees? No. You make the rules. I'm good at the rules. What I'm asking for you to do, you can ask me questions, but what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to pass this today so that I can, if I'm not convinced between now and Friday that progress is being made, I will drop the bill. If progress is being made, I'll sit on it. But guess what happens to bill? Y'all do know what happens to bills in the first year, right? They stay alive till next year. With that, I'd ask any questions.
Thank you so much. Have a couple. Number 3, Chairman Carter.
Mr. Chairman, is it not true that I also serve on this Legislative Oversight Committee with you, and I feel your pain?
She also signed the bill.
And Mr. Chairman, is it true that I serve on that committee with you, and I also feel the pain with you also. 18. That's,
And me.
all right, Representative Maxwell, Chairman Maxwell.
Well, I'm obviously glad I don't serve on that committee, so thank you. That's a blessing. Thank you, sir. I don't particularly see what's the matter with 20-2-622. I kind of like it, I think, but whatever you say, sir. But I know we battled this.
I think there's people far brighter than I am that can come up with how you do eligibility that is fair to everybody.
Okay. At an appropriate time, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair.
No, we have a couple more questions. Number 14, that's, where's 14? Representative Carter, you may have one question. Yes, ma'am. That's my 2-question girl back there. One question this time, Representative Carter. All right. All right. I'll press your little button, the little red, yeah. There you go. Now you're on.
Oh, okay. Representative Meadows, question, just because I'm not very familiar with the athletic department. So this nonprofit that you wanted to establish will replace?
We already have a nonprofit. I want them to act like one.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the rationale behind this bill. You currently have an athletic association,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're saying it is a nonprofit.
Yes, ma'am.
But you're saying this legislation will enforce them to act like a nonprofit, or will this be a new entity?
This be a new entity, and again, they are working on their problems, real or perceived.
Okay. I have no questions, but I do have one. If you don't, Mr. Chairman, I have one speaker, Jay Russell. If you would please come to the podium. Yes, sir.
I'm Jay Russell. I'm the Assistant Executive Director of the Georgia High School Association. And more than anything else, I just wanted to make myself available to you for questions. I don't want to be on the defensive. You know, Georgia High School Association's been around since 1908. We have about 225,000 student athletes we serve, 20,000 coaches, 10,000 officials. Pretty big organization. And yeah, we have problems, Mr. Meadows. We are not a perfect organization, but I think we try to do the right thing most of the time. Sometimes communication may not be as strong as it needs to be, but it is a very established organization that has served this state very well for a long time. I will answer the question about the financial matters. We do have an open audit every year. It's available on our website. We try to keep a 1 year's budget in reserve, which is approximately $5 million. So that's where the perception of the overage comes. We zero balance. We spend about $5 million a year. We spend about $5 million a year. We keep about $5 million in reserve. So that's the explanation for that. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. I will make one more comment, and I know Representative Meadows, this is not set in stone, but the Florida model is a little bit troubling. They've tried it there, had lots of problems with it. Colorado has tried it as well. It's just kind of laissez-faire as far as eligibility, as far as transfers go. Something that we would hate to see occur in the state of Georgia, just because historically it's been troublesome. I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Questions at this time. So, you may ask, hold it, Chairman Meadows has a question. Yes, sir.
Mr. Russell, yes, sir. I hate Mr. Call me Coach Russell. I'd rather be Coach Russell.
I hope that you listen to my introduction. One, and foremost in all of us is mine, we don't want to be in your business. But when I say that I get more complaints about you than I do about every bill that 236 people introduce, I'm not exaggerating, and I mean we don't hold a candle to it. And I think, I don't know if you were there yesterday, I think me and Charlie Bethel suggested, hey, work on your internal problems so that we don't get hit up with all this stuff on things that we have no clue what we're doing. I won't say that about legislation that's introduced here, but on y'all's side, we don't have a clue. And the Florida model, good, bad, or indifferent, it's a start. And if again, I need the assurances that y'all are fixing your problems, perceived or real.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Otherwise, we'll have a damn Florida, excuse me.
Okay. I've disconnected your mic, Mr. Chairman. All right. I have one question, 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, what does the bill do? Does it do anything specifically? Does it change anything, or is it just enforcement?
It divides the state up into 4 parts. You have a board of 15 people. You have term limits on everybody there,
Okay.
and it makes it open. And again, they have an audit. Do we send that audit to the State Board of Education?
I'm not sure.
Do you send that audit to the State of Georgia audit, away, whatever we are, Office of Accounting and Budgeting?
I can't answer that.
And the answer is no.
Thank you.
But do it. Send it to, let somebody know what we're doing.
Did I get your question? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I do,
All right.
May I say one more thing?
Yes,
please?
sir, you may.
Okay, and this is directed at the entire committee. I appreciate you letting me be here. By the way, Chairman Meadows, the Board of Trustees did meet this morning, and Mr. Phillips has decided to retire at the end of this school year. So we will be looking for a new executive director, and I don't know if that will influence the vote at all, but I wanted you to have that as information.
Let me make a statement about Mr. Phillips so that I don't want anybody being misunderstood. Gary Phillips has done what he thought is best for this organization since he got there. He was Mr. Swearingen's handpicked, and he's done what he thought was in the best interest of this organization since he's been there. And I guess that he's doing this because he thinks it might be in the best interest of this organization. So don't throw too many rocks at him.
I will say before we, and I have a motion here, I will say that having served on that committee and having worked with schools for 50 years and coach, et cetera, you have a tough job, and I agree with Chairman. We don't want to run that. We just have some real concerns. We feel like it must be better communication, must work these things out. And I think we've given you, I know in the committee meetings we've had, Chairman Carter, you've been there, we've asked several questions, and I think that's what we're looking for. So this time, number 19, you have a question?
I just wanted to call the question and move due pass.
All right, move due pass. Have a second. I have a due pass and a second. Do I have any questions? No questions? All right, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of the passage, and that's what the motion is, of House Bill 415, isn't that correct? Yeah, 415, and will indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by the like sign. All right. All right, we have one no, but the rest is aye, so the bill does pass. Mr. Chairman, it goes to rules, and it's up to you to get it out of rules.
I can probably do.
May know someone you can talk with.
I'd like to tell the chairman thank you, and members of the committee thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you. All right. At this time, members of the committee, I'd like to ask if he would, Chairman Dickey, to come forward and please present to us. And there will be, if anyone has a question, we will allow questions on this bill. This is a full hearing. House Bill 437. 437. Chairman, we're glad to have you with us today.
I'm glad to
You're
be
becoming
here.
a permanent member. We're glad to have you here.
Well, it's always good, and hopefully this is going to be on a little lighter note than the last bill.
No valedictorian or salutatorian.
No pain with this bill, Mr. Chairman and members of the. This is all good. HB 437, if you really creates the Agriculture Education Advisory Commission, it actually recreates it. This bill looks like it is new legislation, but in actuality is not. We let the other thing sunset. This and so members of the House, Chairman England and others who are very interested in agriculture education and specifically the advisory commission wanted to recreate and make sure we continue this commission on. It's doing good work, doesn't cost the state hardly any money, and that's what this bill does.
Mr. Chairman, isn't it true that this committee has been existing for a long time and it had a sunset in it? And isn't it true that Chairman England is one of the officers, I think president of this committee?
That is
not
true. Yes,
and
sir.
all we're asking is the sunset be removed and this committee continue because agriculture education is critical in this state and one of the top producers.
We have a great program in this state, and it is critical, and want to continue to support agriculture education. This commission does that.
So all the bill's doing is removing the sunset and allowing it to continue. Any questions? All right, I have number 14, that is. All right, Representative Carr, here's your second question. Go to it.
No, thank you, Chairman.
She and I have a good time together. Go ahead.
Yes, we are. So I only have one question. Since this commission was already enacted sunset, should we say recreated? That this is to recreate?
Well, let council, you just got to create it again. It's sunset,
Okay.
so this is a new bill, and it does the same thing, same wording.
The bill says recreates what it's
Okay.
saying. So if right here it says isn't that correct, Betsy? Yeah, line 2 talks about recreate. So as to recreate the former, what we're doing.
Thank you. I stand corrected.
Which had been abolished by operation of the law on December 3rd, verse 216. We are recreating. It's what we're doing. Okay. All right,
you,
any
Mr.
other
Chairman.
question? 19.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Dickey, for bringing this. Can you help me understand, what does this advisory committee do? Can you give me an example of something that's very
meet,
common for them to do?
I don't believe they meet, but a couple times a year or once maybe, and just supportive of our agriculture education program in our state. And we've got a great program, and executive director and appropriations in our education appropriations for agriculture special teachers and programs in our K through 12 schools.
Okay, so they provide support to our K-12 throughout the state on kind of bringing students up to speed on what
FFAs.
the agriculture community is doing, and
Yes, I mean I think this advisory commission is on state level, elected officials and those they appointed. So I think it's, you know, to continue and be supportive of that program here in the legislature for funding and direction and make sure the education program's doing what we want it to do.
You, at one time, Chairman, at one time, agriculture was big throughout the state. In every school, I remember we
pretty
used
sure
to
it still
last.
is
We used to
pretty
last in Gwinnett. We used to laugh in Gwinnett County and say North Gwinnett was the last group that kept a shovel in a hole, you know, because the agriculture about gone. But it's big in this state. It's big all over in the country. And this commission, they do meet with other people throughout the nation at the convention. So it's and this allows them a voice and input into all the issues as far as agriculture is concerned. And we need to remember the number one, is that not true, Mr. Peach Grower?
Yeah, absolutely.
Agriculture is one of the biggest industries in our state.
And I think Representative Teasley speaks for herself. We don't have the situation like the Georgia High School Association.
That's
had
right, that's right. And
before
so-
that. So I hadn't. Have you heard any issues? I have
No, sir, not at all. And I was just
think,
curious. I
think
just
it's
wasn't
working real well.
I just wasn't particularly familiar with the program. As I tell people, as it relates to agriculture, I am committed to consuming as much agriculture as is appropriate. Perhaps you guys can have someone from the cabinet come by and speak to the agriculture program here in a few months. That'd be. We have obviously a very famous
Be happy
Georgian.
to. It's some great training for our young men and women in the state.
Thank you for bringing the bill.
All right. I have no more questions. No one to speak from the audience. So at this time, I will entertain a motion. I have a couple of bill passes, and I have seconds? Any discussion? All right, at this time I call for the vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Hey, unanimous. Good
Thank
deal.
you,
Hey, you're batting 100, I think, now.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, at this time, I'd like to ask if they would call on Representative Demetrius Douglas. Oh, I'm gonna go. Is Ms. Demetrius here? I'm gonna call on Demetrius Douglas. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I am. But you come in. All right, Representative Chandler chaired a committee that heard this bill. Come in, have a seat there, please, sir. And so at this time, what's your number, Joy? Rep. Chandler? Which number? Or hit you? All right. I'd like to ask you to give me what your committee did and the recommendation of your committee.
Do pass as amended.
All right. Do pass as amended. So what bill will we be working from, Representative?
House Bill 273.
House Bill 273. Is it a substitute or is it the regular bill?
It's a substitute.
All right. So what is the substitute number?
If you can look at the top right-hand corner, it's LC 336969S.
All right. So again, it's 6969S, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. We have a subject. Okay. So at this time, if you would, go ahead and present your bill.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Coleman and committee. Like was said, Chairman also said that it passed out of subcommittee unanimously. And House Bill, it's a pretty simple bill. House Bill 273 just helps our children. The goal of this is to have recess in all our elementary schools, K through 5, and our kids get healthier academically, physically, and mentally. And basically, after working with various education associations and departments, we have come to a compromise, and we have worked through everything that was that's in the bill right now. House Bill 273 allows our elementary age children to get an average of 30 minutes of daily recess. This is unstructured and structured. And this was part of the compromise we put in here because most of our schools, we have 1,300 elementary schools, and 1,000 of them use right now Power Up for 30. And this is structured. And so the schools that are not using it, they can also do unstructured because that is a structured, and we didn't want to have them not do it or do it. This was the main change. Everything else is still the same, and I just ask for your consideration, and let's help our children get healthier. and thank you. And I ask for your considerable consideration.
Several questions, so, number 20.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Costas?
Representative, I just got a question on line 19 and 20. Just want to hear your logic there as to changing that to just grades 6 through 8 and eliminating the grades before it.
There was no change there. I think that was already in code, and we had to leave it like that because we were changing K through 5. Betsy, if you can help me on that.
Yeah, the current law provides the local boards of education to establish a policy, whether it's for, to have or not to have recess for kindergarten through grades 8. So by adding the new language, for Representative Douglas, we carved that out. So now they still have to provide a policy for grades 6 through 8, but it's mandating the, recess for
Mandated
K-5.
for K-5. Okay.
While you're up, Betsy, could you tell us this? I notice it says scheduled and non-scheduled, so you're saying PE or recess, they're interchangeable, is that there now? In the first part where it says, such shall include an average of 30 minutes per day of supervised, structured, or unstructured activity? Is that?
That could be, the free play or these programs that they have where they kind of, this sort of guidance.
PE or the power-up for
Well, no, it wouldn't be PE, this would be outside PE.
outside PE, okay, okay. All right. All right, number 18, excuse me, all right? Representative Maxwell, Chairman Maxwell.
That was a question I had, Mr. Chairman, about structured or unstructured. I know most of our schools now, I guess, or a lot of them, elementary schools have gyms. And I didn't know if you was counting gym time, if they go into gyms and play games, basketballs, or whatever they do. Is that gonna be counted as recess time? Or is it gotta be outside in the sunshine, if the sun is shining?
Yes, those were one of the compromises that we made. It's not mandating 30 hours a day. We give them an option where we said average. If they have PE that day, then they can pretty much do it the next day. It still gives the local control and the flexibility to do it the way they see fit on how it helps the children.
So it can be inside or outside activity, either in the gym or outside?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I know a lot of them have the PEs in the gyms and everything. School
Right.
boards spend a lot of money over the years building gyms.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman
Yes, sir.
Maxwell, I want to, if I could, pushing his question a little bit. I see Gary out there, we're giving it. Gary, I understand the law says 90 hours of activity a year, is that correct? Would you come to the podium and, I want to be sure we get this right now, because I understood this to be PE or recess. This could be either one, so this is not what I understood it was, so.
It's my understanding that it's two separate things, that the current law and state board rule requires 90 hours of contact hours in health or PE. It was my understanding this was outside of that.
In other words, we're requiring 90 more hours if we average a 30 a day, is that right?
That's what it sounds like.
We're doubling, is that correct? That's not, my understanding was they could be either or. And based on what he said, the presenter of the bill said, if they had 30 minutes of PE today, that would count, so I'm confused.
He was saying they could make it up tomorrow,
Yeah.
an hour tomorrow.
Is that what you're saying, an hour tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
but they couldn't.
They couldn't do it the same day.
Can't count it.
You can't count it.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And I would point out, as the author of the bill said, we have 1,000 elementary schools participating in the Power Up for 30, and that is outside of the
So
PE.
that would count.
That
Yes.
would count toward the requirement in the
If they're
bill.
doing 30 minutes of power up a day, that would count for that
Yes.
activity.
Yes,
And there's 1,000 out of 1,300 doing it already yet.
that's
Okay.
right.
Yes, sir.
But the bill doesn't say that, so but that would be outside activity, yeah. Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. All right, number 28.
At the appropriate time, make a motion.
All right, let me get a couple more questions. 24,
Thank you.
Representative Hilton.
Just a couple quick questions. Such research should include an average of 30 minutes. What is that average over? Is it averaged over a month, a year, a week?
A week.
A week.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing this. Does that stipulate somewhere?
So it would average out to be about 150 minutes per week. 150 minutes.
Where does it say week?
It says 30 minutes per day.
Per day.
And it says average. So if you take the average, if you do 30 minutes a day times 5.
No, I know, but do you think we need to stipulate in here an average of 30 minutes per day over the course of a week?
I gave it average. That was one of the compromise. I put mandate because if they do go to PE, I don't want to mandate them have to also do recess that day. I want to give the local control for them to either do it the next day or catch it up before the week is out. So I wasn't trying to control anything, just trying to make sure that they got it. So if they haven't PE that day, they would not necessarily need recess the same day that they do PE. But the next day, they may use it as a little bit longer PE time because they had recess the next day a little bit longer because they didn't have PE on the following day. Does that make sense?
It does, I guess, and this may just be me. The way I'm reading it, 30 minutes per day, theoretically, you could lit up the month of May with all resource. Over the course of the year, you averaged to 30 minutes per day.
Yes.
90 hours a year.
Okay. One last question. How did you arrive at 30 minutes?
I did an urgent resolution last year, and I was in my district campaigning, and I got so much overwhelmingly support for my I had an urging resolution last year for 15 minutes. I have a young lady here today that Aaliyah Watkins, she was Miss Capital City Outstanding Teen, and she used this for her platform in competition. And she scored within the top 10 with dancing into fitness.
That's great.
And I was overwhelmed with all the support coming in, and a lot of my constituents, and I got a lot of emails say, hey, we need to do this permanently. And so that's how I arrived here today.
All right, number 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got to get my mind around this, Representative. Going back to that question of line 14 with the average of 30 minutes per day, that's going to come out to the 90 hours. Is that correct? For the school year? Because you're looking at 180, is that right? 180
right.
days?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So if we're doing 30 minutes, that's 90 hours. So if the school has fulfills their 90 hours of PE, have they fulfilled this bill? Have they done the requirements of this bill?
That's what he's saying is no. That they're, you can't exchange.
Please, raise your hand. I'll let you respond if you want to ask a
Okay,
question.
so what is the difference then as far as structured and unstructured? It does not include PE at all.
Well, the structure side of it is the Power Up for 30, the shape. If the schools are already participating in that, they have the option to either stay doing that or incorporate unstructured, which is just let them play.
But not PE.
But not PE, no.
They still have to do that.
So if we're requiring 90 hours of PE and health, then this bill would require an average of another 90 hours for the school year. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct.
Requiring another 90.
Because you said average of not 30 minutes a day. That's right.
Because they shall include an average of another 30 minutes per day of recess, of structured or unstructured activity.
Right.
So we are mandating another 90 hours.
That's correct.
We're averaging.
But it's still, you
But
average.
still,
Yes.
the year has to be 90
Yes,
hours.
yes. That's
Okay.
correct.
All
Yes.
right. All right, I have 3 or 4 more. Number 10, that's Representative Lopez.
Yes, well, 2 things. Just it was already clarified as to his question, and the second, isn't it true, Representative, that you had several people come testify regarding research about the both health, social, and academic benefits to having recess, particularly to the amount of about 30 minutes per day?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Okay. Number, keep in order, 5. All right,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all right,
Representative, thank
Rockland.
you for bringing the bill. And I want to follow up on Representative Hilton's question. And I wonder if you might be, if it's appropriate, Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, a friendly amendment to make sure that what you don't have is like the last 2 weeks of school. They don't have any class left, and so they say, all right, well, we will fulfill our 30 minutes a day average, and you just have kids running around the playground. If I could ask the question, sir, your intent would be that that in a given school week, about 2.5 hours a week or 30 minutes a day, the kids are playing on a daily basis. That's the intent. What you're driving at, that on a daily basis, kids are spending 30 minutes a day playing, having recess. That's what you're driving at?
I'm driving that is some schools don't do recess at all.
Right.
And I'm trying to get them to have at least 30 minutes a
Yeah.
day of recess where the teacher can take a break, the
Yeah.
kids can take a break, and the learning curve and the health initiatives will help the kids along with the teachers move
Right.
this forward. Now, if they have something planned, I don't want to stick hold and say you have to do
Right.
30 minutes a day. I'm saying with 150 minutes a week, you should be able to make up 150 hours a week. I don't think
Right.
no school is going to wait till the end of the year to try to get all the recess time in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Other
all, Mr.
question?
Chairman. I guess if the author would think it would help further his aims, add in here something saying, X minutes per month or X minutes per week. Does that make sense? So that we don't have a situation where the last 2 weeks of school or the last week of a month, they just kind of cram it all in just a couple of days rather than spread it out, giving the kids the benefit of the daily exercise that the author intends.
All right,
That's all, Mr.
Sarah, I have about 10 more questions, all right?
Sorry.
What's your number? 19, he wants to ask you a question, Representative. Rock.
And this is to Representative Brockway's point. I don't think we can mandate per week or per month because some weeks have holidays. You might have Thursday and Friday off, or you might have Monday off. So you've got, if you're going to stay in the vein of 30 minutes per day, you can't mandate it per week. You can't mandate it per month based on the holiday
Right.
hours you might have.
All right, let's hear what you have to add to this. Number 18.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't understand how we're going to, what are we going to cut out? If we're mandating now and 1,000 schools do 90 hours a year of some type of PE or structured exercise, what are we going to cut out to get another 90 hours in there? Are we going to cut out reading, writing, arithmetic? I mean, what are we going to cut out to find another? Are we going to extend the school day for these kids that get up now at 6 o'clock and ride a bus at 7:30? I could probably go with your bill if the ones that are doing, the 1,000 schools that are doing their job now, leave them alone and let that stay. But to mandate another 90 hours a year, I can't vote for that, sir.
It's not another 30. It's
Well,
it-
what
it
you
gives-
said a while ago, it
gi-
was.
It gives them it gives them an option. Okay, if you're already doing it, then you don't have to do it because it says structured or unstructured.
But I just heard
It says shall, that's not an option. You're saying they shall do it. We're mandating it yet.
But if they're, we just need to figure out the wording on this so that if they're already doing
No,
it, we're not gonna make them do it again. That's my problem. I can't vote for it if it's gonna add another 90 hours of PE a year to what's already being done.
All right, let's see what you have to add to it. Number 28.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was in there when we had the discussion related to the average. And it was my understanding the average included PE or whatever the physical activity
That was
may
my
be,
understanding, yeah.
even to include field days, so you
Right.
would average that over an entire year.
That's what I understood.
And it's not an extra 30. I can't vote for an extra 30, but it was my understanding that it included, if you're doing the power up or whatever, that fills the square if you do that 30 minutes a day.
Yeah. I would like to ask Betsy, would you please, as the bill is written, what is it saying? It's mandating or what?
It is an additional over and above what the PE.
So if we pass this, we're saying they're gonna do 90 more hours.
Right.
We're mandating it. Is that correct?
I mean, if it were to be read that it would doing that already, so the bill has to have some meaning.
So what you're saying is, what we have before us is mandating 90 additional hours of recess? Okay. That, as it's written, I want to be sure everybody understands what we've mandated. All right? Everybody understand what Betsy just said? All right, number 26.
My question was basically what Chairman Nix referred to. I am almost positive that what we passed out of subcommittee, it was presented in such a way that it is 30 minutes a day on an average to include PE or just playing on the playground. And so there's some confusion here.
That is correct.
All right, 19.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you would probably have better success today or tomorrow, if need be, if we could make it clear that this would also include physical education.
Right.
That right now there is some lack of clarity in this room on whether or not we're requiring 90 additional hours throughout the school year, or if a school system is already doing this, or if the student is having opportunity to exercise through physical education, then I think that accomplishes your aim. Your goal is to make sure the kids get moving, that they're not just sitting in a classroom for 8 hours straight. I think that's what you're after. And so if they are given time to do PE, then they have broken up the routine. They are doing something active, and that's good. That's letting them get the energy out of their system.
Right.
So perhaps we could either amend, or even we have a committee tomorrow. We could come back and finish that tomorrow if we need to.
All right, 14. Hit you. There you go, all right?
Well, I'm listening to this conversation around the 90 hours, health and PE, and I think what I'm hearing is we're mixing up the health and the PE, because not all students every semester or quarter have PE, because sometimes they have health and some other classes that are taken that are not physical exercise. So you got to kind of separate that. And so they may have one quarter, one semester a year that they may literally have a PE class. So I don't see an issue with that. Now, when I think about the 90 minutes of the 30 minutes on average a day, if you could be creative, I don't know enough about how the shape and other thing work, but if they have, 6 or 7 classes a day. If they took 5 minutes in the middle or beginning of a class and did some physical exercises, I don't know if, it's not like you're going to block out an extra 30 minutes. So I just think that from someone who has a family of heart condition, and someone who's had a heart attack, whose cardiologist says you need to exercise 20 to 30 minutes a day, and then we have kids that are in classrooms that have health issues, and sometimes just exercising could extend their lives. And I think we should be encouraged to ensure that children are moving 20 to 30 minutes a day, because we could be prolonging their lives. So I think we're muddying this up again when you look at the 90 hours of health and PE and adding 30 minutes on an average for a kid to be moving. I don't think it's really
Well, what we're
complicated.
saying here, though, we agree. I said all along, I agree with you, what we're doing. But the problem is, the way the bill is written, we are mandating 90 more hours of recess, which we can't, or other activities, mandating, and that's a concern. Reverend Cassis?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick question for Legislative Council.
Betsy?
Is this, as far as separating this language from the PE language, is that a quick amendment?
Yeah, we can, separate it to not have it.
This is something we need to do tomorrow.
Either way, we can,
Then, Mr. Chairman, I think if we can move to table this bill so we can work on this and take it up again, since tomorrow the full committee's coming up, and we can have language that's very clear and not.
All right, a motion to table takes precedence over everything else. I have a motion to table for the way we can take it up and look at it tomorrow. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed? Where's my nose? Raise your hand. 1 no, 2 noes, 3 noes, 4 noes, 4 noes. All for it, raise your hand. All yes to table it, raise your hand. If you're in favor of tabling the bill, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you're against it, raise your hand. 9 for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's tabled to be taken up. Get with, I'm going to ask you, Vice Chair, to get with the author again and get with Betsy and see, and let's take it up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock tomorrow, all right? All right, let's take the last bill now, if you would. Look at your calendar, because all of us have another meeting we've got to get to, 2 or 3 more meetings. All right? Now we're taking it up House Bill 426, Representative Chandler. You can stay at your seat if you like. What's your number? All right?
We're looking at LC 336972S. And this bill was brought because of a group of people in the state, I understand over 5,000, who are saying that in their specific school systems and or schools, they are having, as parents, being able to refuse the standardized testing for their children. This bill does not have any shalls in it. It has strongly encouraged. There are basically 2 parts. If you look at lines 12 through 17, you see that it's just saying that school systems are strongly encouraged to allow a paper and pencil format for any student when parents request it, or if the young person is 18 years of age or older and request it. The other part of the bill says that the state school superintendent shall develop guidelines with appropriate policies indicated for a local school system to consider. And within that, there will be no punitive action if a child does not test. And if you go down to line 25, you will see that it says that the guidelines shall provide that students do not have undirected free time. And that is the bill, Mr. Chairman, and I have an amendment at the appropriate time.
Questions? Any questions? All right, what's your amendment?
On line 26, after free time, to add, but are provided alternate instructional activities.
All right, read that again.
The sentence would read, starting with the guidelines at the end of 25,
Right.
the guidelines shall provide that students do not have undirected free time,
All right.
but are provided alternate instructional activities.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the bill. First, I have to have a motion on the piece of legislation. Do I have a motion? I have a do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Now, we have the amendment. You heard the amendment that was read. Do I have a motion on the amendment? I have a motion to do pass. Do I have a second for the amendment? I have a second. So now we have before us House Bill 425 LC 6972S as amended. So do I have any questions? No questions, I see. So all in favor of the bill as amended, please indicate by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Where? Raise your hand. Let me see you. 1, 2, 2 against it, 3 against it. 3 against it. All right, raise your hands for it. 1, 2, 3. Everybody has to vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for it. Raise your hand if you're against it. 10 for it. Against it. You have to vote. 1, 2, 3, 4 against it. All right, thank you. All right. All right, number 11, you have a question. All right. All right. Now let's hear it. We need to assign some bills. Listen to this very carefully. Listen now. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock we will be meeting, or immediately upon adjournment we will meet to take up 3 bills. Now we will be taking up 411, Chairman Powell's bill. We will be taking up anything that comes out of Chairman, Representative Teasley's committee, and we will be taking up the recess bill tomorrow. Is that understood? That's what we'll take up tomorrow, okay? Any questions? All right, that will be out. Please, but listen, that's important to be here. We may have a meeting Wednesday, depending on what's happened, but I hope not. I hope it's over. Representative Carter?
I just want to take a moment to wish my friend, our friend, Matthew Gamble, a happy birthday. He turned 22
Hey, we
today.
didn't know that. Happy birthday, Matthew. All right. Hey, you know what? Let's do this, Representative Carter. Why don't you start it? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, oh Matthew. Happy birthday to you. Stand up and let us see how red you are. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Now, David, please, if you would, Representative Cassis, please assign the bills.
Very good. Just have a few things to notify the committee about. House Bill 311 by Representative Powell, that was originally assigned to subcommittee, is now being moved to the full committee for consideration tomorrow. So we want to let everyone know that House Bill 311, which is to revise certain provisions for calculation of equalization grants, will be up to full committee tomorrow. House Resolution 319, which was also assigned to subcommittee. This is Representative Epps' 1% sales tax and use tax for local systems. That is being also moved to the full committee. It's not going to be up tomorrow, but it's now in the possession of the full committee. And then we have House Bill 463, House Bill 463 by Representative Dempsey. It's to authorize systems to establish nonprofit corporations to qualify as public foundations. That bill is being assigned to the Administration and Policy Subcommittee. House Resolution 405 by Representative Teasley to provide for the election of school board members. That is being referred to the full committee for consideration. And that bill, as I understand it, Mr. Chairman, will be up for debate tomorrow. House Resolution 405 will be up for debate tomorrow in full committee. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions about bill assignments? All right. Remember, your dues, we're going to have to, Sheena will be contacting you, but your dues, because it's coming near the end of the time, and we need to get those collected. They're $30. So see, what are we, about halfway there, Sheena? About halfway there. All right, thank you. What is it? All right, right now we're going into a meeting with Representative Teasley's subcommittee. We'll be meeting now, hearing how many bills? Two? 2 bills. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you so much, members.